Hello YouTube, this is Ben Gessel. How's it going? Let's see. So yeah, I recently got a haircut. Feeling good. It's Thursday evening. Good spirits. Um, I might put out a few videos tonight. Hopefully, not too relaxed. I just been feeling. I don't know how I'm feeling. I guess pretty good. Pretty good. Mostly pretty good. Um, so this is one of the topics I'm going to talk about here tonight. A little bit more how I compose. I'm going to try to do this topic a little bit more. But this is ultimately kind of an introverted, sort of, or introspective kind of topic, because every composer does things a little differently. And so, the funny thing about uh, well, there's a side to the subject that is very interesting in kind of a very, very deep way. Deep in terms of, I don't know, touches on kind of a lot of spiritual and personality things. So, okay, I'm kind of coming back here to the topic here. Every composer, it writes differently, does things differently, has different ways of generating ideas, and that should. And then the reason I mention that is because for anybody who's a composer themselves, your way of generating ideas and kind of what do you do to invite ideas to come to you, or the process of how do you get going on starting on stuff. If you have a certain personality, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me for someone who enjoys the outdoors and surfing and has a laid-back personality, for instance. I know I'm not talking about just your California guys, but it makes perfect sense for me if they write music as well, to go to the beach and just, write music on the beach. Or they, maybe they have a guitar with them or something. As another personality, you might have someone who's has glasses like I do, and they are very organized and very intelligent, and maybe they have a regular day job, or maybe they're a professor, maybe they, whatever it is, maybe they work for they work for an orchestra, and they're one of the resident composers. But I'm thinking of a kind of person who is very left-brained, very analytical. They have all their mechanical pencils and pens. They have all their ruler, and they have all their things, and kind of have a they operate a little differently, right? Yeah. So that's another personality. That person's probably likely going to be very at home in an office building. So then, you have, or a, modern building of sorts. You have another type of composer who all they want to do is go out in the forest. Maybe have a log cabin out there somewhere, and it's just silent. Maybe they have an old piano in the log cabin or something. It's the most valuable thing there. You just go out there and lose track of time if they can spend a lot of time out there, and they just ride. They have an easy the couch and have some big fridge or something and keep something cool. they compose, So yeah, almost maybe you could go the direction of the hippie type composer, maybe just the introverted, sensitive, composer. So every composer is different. It's all different, and so it should reflect in their music. The processes are a little different. So here's how I write, and when I kind of what I'm saying here is also should reflect my personality quite a bit. I write best when I don't have to do something within an hour or two. So when I have a large chunk of time, and I write well when sometimes in an emotional mood, sometimes something I want to express very deeply. Maybe I just saw something. So there's a lot of times when I'm very inspired by certain events in life, or certain places I might go to, or that sort of thing. So there's that need to write. Sometimes melodies will come to me, and then I'll need to write them down. Other times, I'm just trying to generate something cold turkey. Kind of fish around a little bit, fish around different chord progressions, and maybe try, write down different motifs, just short little 4 or 5 note things, different rhythms, and if I'm after a certain idea, something, whatever it is, I know what it kind of is, but you just can't always put certain ideas in the words. So, I do that too. But one of the things across the board that is very important is that I don't have to think about anything else at the moment. If I have to write something while keeping track of time, it would have to be something more basic, not quite as chromatic, or it would have to be something just that wouldn't take a whole lot of thought. Depends on what the composition was. So that's the best way of putting it, I guess. So more dramatic, more music that I care a little bit more deeply about, all the details. But that's more chromatic. That stuff really is the stuff that really requires me to be fully immersed in that without having to think about anything else. And yeah. So, a few more details here. I know, what sorts of moods and emotions and kinds of styles of music, how that all works. For instance, if I'm going to write something for a student that's a little bit more basic, I often stick with 4-bar, 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 basic melodies that are very beautiful, memorable. So very, very good melodies still, but the harmonies a little more basic. I'll tend to put melody more in right hand. Not always, but most of the time, yes, I will. Especially if it's a younger student, I'll even the melody, nature of the melody itself. I'll try to be careful how this is. If you're writing a melody for a student who's only at the 5-finger level, for instance, it has to be a very basic melody. It can't go too far. That can be a different kind of process, but it's there's that kind of stuff that doesn't take really that long for me to write something decent. And then there's the stuff that take a week or two or longer. It's more involved for more advanced folks and more substantial composition. I mean, if I'm going to write something very frightening, frightening music sometimes for me has a rhythmic. Well, if it's a chase scene, but sometimes a rhythmic drive kind of thing. If it's an adrenaline, chase scene. But if it's something that's this is where you get into all the the crazy harmonies or the just it's very just to get more dissonance. But you're just exploring harmony, the darker end of harmony, which involves a lot of dissonance, but also a lot of if you're gonna have if I'm writing something with a clear clear melodic ideas, motifs, it's going to be something again in the involving probably most likely involving minor augmented diminished harmonies. That ballpark. Even if there's a lot of minor seconds or they're crazier stuff. Sometimes, I like, if I'm writing something that's a bit more visual, I'll use a lot of extended harmonies, ninths, 11ths, 13ths, 7ths, whatever. And I'll be thinking about instrumentation a lot. And just, something that's very visually oriented and it's very for me it's very enjoyable, I guess, to go back and forth from major richer harmony to minor harmonies, the chromatic stuff, and bring out certain colors that way. Say you're in D major with a you go from D to just immediately to F. You have that same kind of melody that you're doing. It has the 8ths and 16ths or something like that. It's kind of skippy with some staccato and slurs. It just goes right into that, without any preparation whatsoever. I love that kind of stuff. I mean, that's one of the, when I talk about colorful music, that's one of the kinds of music that comes to mind where you just go all over the map. I mean, you use chromatic medians and chromatic submedians and that sort of thing a lot. But it's like used in a way that's very different than, I guess you could say, epic film music. Where if you're writing something that's in more, not necessarily virtuosic, but lighter, that sort of thing. The chromatic harmony you're using in that kind of major minor vein, it's going to bring out those colors, greens, the purples, and the reds. And, everybody's going to be a little different how they see certain things sometimes, but yeah. So if I have done something like this before, I do apologize, but I might cover a few more things here. Some ideas will take some real I have to just depends if I'm going to write something that's either going to be very, very romantic or very sacred or very dark or something very I have to put myself in frame of mind a little bit of character of what kind of whatever I'm working on. I mean, it helps, for instance, to have kind of a like if you're writing something humorous, funny, it helps to kind of be in kind of a silly mindset or kind of a sarcastic mindset or whatever impish mindset. That can help. At least you want to have some kind of higher energy of sorts. But if if you're writing something very serious or very poignant or you certainly don't want to be interrupted by something silly. Everybody's a little different. I mean, if I was writing, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Willard, but if I was writing music for a movie in the future, like Willow, like Willard, Willard, with Crispin Glover, for instance, that was the newer version. If I was writing music for something like that, that was just getting into some interesting personalities and yeah, I mean, absolutely, I want to be reclusive for quite a bit. Getting into that real super extremely introverted, reclusive, odd kind of mindset, childlike yet odd. that goes without saying. I would be, very much in that element, and it would be a little weird. I might be kind of weirded out sometimes, but it would be important for me to kind of be weirded out a little bit. Not do anything. I have to, for quite a bit, work at all the music, and even if it was just something outside of film, even if it was just my own project, but I want to do music that's kind of in that vein. Absolutely, and I had a chunk of time, didn't have to call anybody, do anything, drive anywhere. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Some music you have to go. Some music, for some composers, you have to go. You have to go there a little bit emotionally. I mean, you don't want to totally flip out and do something not so cool, but let me just put it this way. I know, because we're getting into this area of composition that's. I mentioned this. This is kind of a deeper. There's a deeper side to this, not just the intellectual kind of thing. Although there's lots of deep aspects about the intellectual side, of course, of composition. There's the rational intellectual side, which we always learn more about, which is very, very important. All the craft and everything like that. I don't mention all those things, of course, but if you really want to dive into what you're doing emotionally, and it's something that's either not as familiar or it's just more engrossing, you're going deeper, right? If you're writing something very emotional, you might cry, or memories might come back and something, and you'll have to, get through it by writing, and that's painful. It can be very painful. It can be very soothing at the same time once you get rid of some of that stuff. There's that side of those kinds of pieces of music, right? And I'll be probably writing more of that in the future. And then, like I mentioned, some of the weird stuff that you could write. And you have to kind of go there in that weird way where not just Willie Willard, where you have to he has to, he thinks that he's talking to the mice, and mice do these things to people. I mean, like you can. I mean, like a movie like Psycho, where writing music that's kind of, an old grown man insists that his mom is still alive by creating digging up her bones and putting a wig on her and all this stuff, and thinking that she's still talking to him about whoever stays there at the hotel. And you're writing music in this vein, or you have to kind of crawl into that psyche a little bit, depending on. I mean, you could always write music from the person's standpoint of the innocent person who doesn't know what's going on with this other weird guy. But if you're writing music from the standpoint of that weird guy and how he thinks. Or, most people aren't really willing to go there unless it's something very positive. If it's something, I don't know. If there's also the very emotionally draining kinds of music, of course, or the frightening kinds of things, or the I don't know. Again, all those weird thoughts. And I've had some very odd thoughts, like the idea, of course, of you think that your entire life, like the Truman Show, you wonder if sometimes you're on some screen somewhere, some TV, and your life is not real, or you start thinking about the universe, and there are other universes out there. On this little marble these aliens are playing with, these giant aliens, and playing with these marbles of universes, and what's beyond the edge of the universe, and and when you're applying all this to music, and you're putting into music these emotions, these thoughts that you might be having, weird questions and mind trips and things. That's what we want to hear. I think a lot of people want to hear music that goes there. It means a lot. It's very meaningful. Um, it many of us aren't. Uh, you know, yeah. I mean, it can take a lot of energy, uh, depending on what's going on. But I mean, um, I mean, that's film music right there. That's somewhat video games. The video games are still pretty. They'll hopefully at some point they will get there. That's my hope. But or there's a lot of music that's still classical vein, other kinds of things that it gets goes into the deeper areas. The deeper the the aspects of life and human psyche that are either troubling, distressing, confusing, um, all that other stuff. So I mean, like if you look at a composer who's writing something that's like in that weird land, right? And they vary, but you'll see some composers that their expressions uh, will, as they're writing, run the gamut. Right? That would be very interesting, um, to see their expressions. And yeah. Anyway, so again, I guess to kind of sum up that train of thought, it's when speaking for myself, but any other composer who's really getting deeper, right? Um, it's important to you need to kind of have that time after you're done composing for a bit to kind of reconnect with the real world, right? Um, so that's why I'm saying, I really need a solid chunk of time where I'm not doing anything else to write at a certain level. Uh, from a somewhat emotive, some um, if there's any kind of weird thoughts or emotions, or not necessarily weird, but just poignant or and just very involved kinds of things. The total opposite of Mary Had a Little Lamb, right? But not necessarily something. Yeah, so I need a solid chunk of time, peace and quiet, absolutely, and then the composer has to have the courage to think those thoughts and to go there emotionally. Not necessarily something that's frightening, but something that's a little bit unknown. Maybe there's that feeling of the unknown, or that feeling of well, it's like again, bringing another kind of idea. It's like the feeling that you might say something that might seem in a sense romantic, but it's like the feeling of say you know someone that maybe you romantically have feelings for, and she probably feels the same way. It might have something to do with the feeling you have of wanting to protect her, and something having to do with her voice. Um, um, but then there's some other elements, perhaps in this music that you might be writing, where not necessarily that she's like, I'm not saying that she's like a changeling or some idea that she's some alien or something. She's not for real or something. But something maybe where you all of a sudden have this feeling of human vulnerability, that at any moment something could happen to you or her, or um, you have to go there a little bit. You have to be emotionally vulnerable to have music convey us that feeling of, you know, yeah. I guess that's the best way of trying to, you know. I guess the last thing I'll mention here is you can hear music that sounds very uh, smug. Well, yeah. Sometimes it's purposefully so, and other times it's reflecting the arrogance of the composer. And you can definitely hear music that is from a composer's heart that's very has more integrity and is very humble, but more willing to just kind of experience life and experience emotions without um, having the courage to experience certain emotions, perhaps, without just dwelling in the realm of the intellectual and the safe zone that um, academia often falls into. So hopefully that makes some sense. But it all depends on the music. But welcome your thoughts, comments below. All right, talk to you guys soon. Thanks.